Okay, this is Mike Franklin, the property tax guy, and today I'm going to continue on with my new series, Assess the Assessor. I started off with I wanted to start off with one good assessor example and one bad example assessor, and my first one was the bad assessor in the town of Marcellus, and you can see that series on the web page. Um, uh, Today we're going to do an example of a good assessor, and the good assessor is Kimberly Johnson in the town of Clayton, Jefferson County, and I've had several cases with Miss Johnson, and and what I really like about her is that she doesn't pretend to be the greatest valuation expert in the world. She she did the epitome of what it is that I expect from an assessor. She listened to what it is that I had to say, and she looked into it. And so my experience is that she just doesn't roll over for people who don't like paying taxes, but she will listen to you, and she won't necessarily agree with you, but she will look into it. And in fact, not only did she look into it, but she revisited at least two of the properties that I had. She visited them in person after I brought them to her attention, and she looked into it, and she made adjustments. I also had experience with her in a couple of cases where I was the state hearing officer, so I got to see how she behaved in those cases. And in one case, we had an elderly gentleman whom basically he hadn't followed the proper protocol, and his case would have been dismissed had he done it himself. But he actually helped her or helped him, and it was kind of funny because then I ended up getting a call from the guy's daughter saying what a bad person that Kim was, when Kim was trying to help him. And that was kind of crazy. And so that's kind of the stuff that assessors go through. So, again, I respect a good assessor. It's a very, very difficult job. And, most people are not going to be happy with you. It's kind of a thankless thing. And you take a lot of grief. And because a lot of people just don't understand. They don't understand the difference between a high assessment and high taxes. You can have a proper assessment and high taxes at the same time, and people don't understand that. And so that's one of the first things that you have to get past people to make them understand. But anyway, in all those cases, she listened and she looked into it, and she made it a reasonable adjustment. And there was one case when I was a hearing officer. She was standing up to this guy who was a town justice, who was arguing his own case for his own property, but the guy was also a hearing officer who would preside over cases with her. So she was in a bad spot. She didn't feel that he was in the right, and she had to be. She was concerned that if she didn't let it go, that it would, damage her when it came to other cases. And I think that she had a legitimate concern because this individual was also a law clerk for a state Supreme Court judge, and the guy was in a position of power, and he could make things difficult for her. And she stood up to him, and I respect that. And she could have done the political thing and just rolled over, but she didn't think it was right, and she was absolutely trying to do the right thing, and I really respect that. I thought that was fantastic. Again, issues were brought to her attention. She listened. She looked into it. In some cases, she actually went to the property, and she made reasonable adjustments. And as far as the elderly gentleman, she, even though that technically, she could very easily have had his case dismissed if she wanted to be a jerk about it, but she went out of her way to help him, with his appeal options and coach him, and in contact with his family to have his family help him. He was an older gentleman, and he was frustrated, and she was trying to do the right thing and help him, and she was very respectful towards him, and it turns out it wasn't appreciated, which was it's just an example of how sometimes when you're the assessor, you just can't win. But anyway, my every example that I've had with her, I think I've had 4 cases with her, and I think that she was fantastic in all 4 cases. 1, 2, 3, 4. I think it was 4. Might have been 5. I can't remember. But anyway, I was frankly, she's the best assessor that I've seen out of the 15 counties where I've participated in cases. That's why I chose her as as one of the very first. I chose the worst assessor and the best assessor. And I feel bad about the worst assessor that I did a case on, because it turned out that he was an elderly gentleman, and he recently died, and it wasn't my intention to to pick on him. But the problem is that he didn't do his job properly, and he was abusive towards the taxpayers. I'm sorry, I don't mean to pick on people individually, but that's what happened. And it shouldn't happen. But anyway, Kim Johnson, the assessor for the town of Clayton, Jefferson County, she wins my vote as the top assessor that I've run into so far out of 15 counties. I'm going to estimate that that's about how many assessors I've dealt with. It's in the dozens, and she is. She's the best I've run across so far. She's not the most experienced, but her customer service is the best, and her methodology to listen to people and look into things is the proper way to do it. And I think that she's doing a fantastic job, and I applaud her. And any assessor that does a good job and treats taxpayers properly is I hold in the highest esteem. This is Mike Franklin, the property tax guy. Thank you.